We're Maureen and Dwight Lopes from New Haven meeting, and I think it's been about 3 years, but I would say more intensely in the last year.
And then we also have Ed and Homer. If either one of them would like to introduce themselves, otherwise I will just mention that Ed is from Hanover. He's one of our newest meetings. And Homer is from Fairhope. I think we are waiting for one more person because I was thinking we had 2 Florida meetings. So there should be at least one more person along soon. So I forgot what I said the agenda was going to be, but I think we were going to talk about user adoption, which is one thing, and also Maureen sent me some really good questions that I thought we could work on as a group. And then I looked at your site and I was trying to figure out something new I could teach all of you, which are all at different places. So I can show you projects, or I could show you how to connect your Facebook and Twitter, but we can figure that out as we get a little bit further in. So I guess what I can do first is I will go through some questions that Maureen sent me. And oh, I should mention, at this point, if anyone, I was hoping at least one person would want to present their site, but nobody came forward and said they did, which is fine. But if anyone wants to, let me know, because that would still be really cool. I like seeing what other people are doing with their sites, so I'm sure other people do too. But what I'm going to do then is I'm going to just share some questions that Maureen sent, which I thought would give us a little bit of direction. The first thing was she asked me about the member directory. So the member directory is something that all of you have, but it's not something that we have the ability right now. And this is an answer that I tend to give a lot, so I apologize if you've heard it before. But the template is rigid, and it's rigid by design, and it's difficult for us to change stuff. So, well, for one meeting, so we have to kind of change it for everybody. So right now we have maybe a third of meetings that are using the member directory. So we're going to have to keep it up, and everyone does see the member directory button. That is something that we could change in the future, but I think it would be a little bit more difficult to dynamically change things for people. But it's something that we can definitely look at as a suggestion in the future.
Erin, if you want to go back to our home page, there is something based on the last group meeting here. If you scroll down on the right-hand side, the home page, Dwight picked up on, it was the California meeting. We were so impressed by how you could look at a large, where is it? There it is. Look at a large version of the calendar. We had gotten that from some of our committees. So if you scroll up just a bit, there's a new page under About. So if you click on Calendar for the month, click here. Ta-da!
Cool, yay!
So, yes, so we appreciate, I forget now which meeting it was, but knowing that it could be done, I don't know if Dwight wants to say how, it seemed to be pretty straightforward.
I had to figure out how to, what page it could be put on. They put on their About page, and I did that too to start, but then we just were fooling around to try and see, isn't there some place on the home page where we could put it? Even though the calendar's there, it's small and it's not as in our committees said, well, couldn't we display it some way for the whole page? My only reservation about this is I think I need to go in every month and change it to the current month, maybe change the URL as well. But you can scroll back and forth between the months on this Google Calendar. You just can't post things. Yeah.
Actually, there's a way then that you would be able to post between the two, which I think is part of one of your other questions. Part of question 2. So to actually post things, like if you had events, that's what the iCal feed does.
Oh.
And that's something new I can teach you guys, actually.
Oh,
yeah, so let me log in, 'cause that would be...
okay.
So, the iCal feed talks to your whatever calendar you're using. So I can actually, like, let me just move this so that you can see the bottom of my screen. So I'm logged in now, and there's this thing right here called Download iCal Feed. Bear in mind, I'm on a Mac, but it's pretty similar on a Mac or on a PC. I'm going to click Download Feed. And let me see if I just joined. Somebody might have dropped off. Okay, so then down here I have this cool little thing, and I use the calendar. I have the calendars on like everything on my stuff. So it's going to write to the calendar that and this is just because of the way that I have my stuff configured. But now if I click OK, then it will actually like start writing events from the events page to my like personal calendar that I use. So, and then I could also have it go to like whatever other calendar that I use. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, but all I would have to do then is click OK, and then the calendars that go from here can go to like whatever calendar you're using, or what the events can like write to the calendar that you're using. And what I can do so that I can use like a dummy or like my Quaker Cloud Gmail account, and I can set up some videos. I haven't done that yet, but I could set up some videos so that you can see like how that would work with like your Google calendars and stuff. But iCal is pretty popular, and it integrates with like most calendars.
I'm not sure I understand what you've been talking about. What I do know is in Google Calendar you can have in my personal Google Calendar, Maureen and I share a feed. I can put things on the shared feed or my own, and I can also put the New England Yearly Meeting calendar overlaid as well as our meetings calendar overlaid. Is that what is that what the iCal feed does?
The iCal feed will just write to whatever calendar you choose. It will write all of these events to that calendar so that you don't have to write them again.
So if we create the event here in the website and then we want it to fill into the meeting's calendar, we use this feature.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
So you can start playing with that, and then I will try and create specific instructions for like Google Calendar and stuff, because that's what people use most, except for like this, where I use the built-in calendar on my computer. So.
Now, this is Bonnie. I have iCal because I use a Mac, but I did the calendar for the meeting on Google Calendar. Can I just change that over to? Can I feed that into iCal?
Yeah, there is a way to do it, and off the top of my head, I can't remember how to do it, so I'll just make a video. I'll Google it and make a video of how to do it. You can also just Google it, but I can Google it for you.
Okay. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I just don't know offhand how to do it.
I know they all talk to each other. I also am not prepared to explore that because I have like my personal calendar on here, which is like my dentist appointment.
Right.
Stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why I was like, I'll make a video so you guys don't know. Yeah. We're also recording this, so that's why I don't want to like show my personal phone.
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, let's see what else we can figure out with Maven, which can be seen by admins. So yeah, the iCal feed. The iCal feed can be seen by anyone who can log into the site.
Right.
So all of your members would be able to do that. We cannot upload documents to an event posting for reasons I can't explain, but we've never been able to do it, and I probably just set up the training videos wrong because I was cutting and pasting a lot. I think it's a great idea, though, and more people have been asking for it lately. So it's something that we can look into with our developers, because we are going to be rolling out some new features in like a couple. We're going to like make some announcements after executive committee, and then we'll be able to roll out some new stuff for the cloud. And at that point, then we can like start adding things like more documents and stuff to event postings. Let's see, do other users, okay, so for other meetings, everyone does things a little bit differently. What I've heard from, and actually I can also give you, I think this is our policy at FGC, is we try and do crowd shots, and we ask for like a blanket kind of a blanket kind of permission from parents, and then we do crowd shots with that. No, we do individual faces, I guess, for gathering also. But I think a lot of meetings.
Individual faces for gathering, because I've been the gathering photographer, and you
yeah,
do a lot of individual faces.
And we do have releases for everybody, and then we actually take it a step further, and we also have a bank of people, of photos of people that do not want to be photographed, and then we save those so that we can always match to them and say like, okay, this person does not want to be photographed, do not have any public pictures of them. So, but I think what a lot of meetings.
Are the releases paper releases that get filed someplace?
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because I have a daughter who is also photographed, and I signed a paper release, and I do not know where we keep them. But that's not something, I do a lot of the data for FGC too, and that's not something I come across. So I think we just keep them in paper form.
And do the group shots ever get tagged then on Facebook, or, you know, the people go in and identify the individuals?
We don't share ours like that. We keep ours more private, just as a bank, and then we only really use them for like different stuff. We don't really we don't release like albums of what gathering photographers did. So we don't have it. We do control a little bit more, like how many of our photos go out. But that would be a really good question also for the Google Plus group, and they might be able to give you a little more information on the different ways that meetings handle it. For other nonprofits I've worked at, it's been group shots are okay, and then anything other than public group shots you need a release for. So at that point, then you would be having people sign paper releases. So.
I'll say that our first day school is looking at creating their general information permission slip as a Google Doc, I think, so that then all of this could be stored online. Because part of our thing was, oh my gosh, now where do we store confidentially more paper? So we can report on, we're sort of letting that go in their hands and see what comes out of it. So that's good, though. I'll put that query out on the Google Plus group also.
So, sounds good.
Could I answer that as someone who has photographed a lot at FGC?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
My policy as a photographer is that I will not give I know that FGC does not publish photographs of children widely. They keep them very closely held. I will not photograph children unless they're being very closely held. I don't put photographs of my grandchildren on Facebook, for example, because I think it's too dangerous. And I'm very, very careful about photographs of children. If someone hires me to photograph their children, I will give them the photographs and I will caution them about where they put them. And then where they put them is their business. But when I do photographs for FGC, and I've frequently done gathering photographs, I will do it because I know that FGC holds photographs of children very closely.
Yeah, I mean, we have parents who have very explicitly said, do not include my children in any photos.
Yes.
But when you're a small enough meeting, you know, you can have that conversation. So, but it's part of now the safety concern, you know, including at our yearly meeting level. I reached out to New England meeting, so yeah, it's an evolving situation. So good.
Yeah. And as a photographer, you have to be very, very sensitive to that. You know, as a parent, I would not have put, you know, my children are in their 40s now, but I would not have put photographs of my children on Facebook or on the web.
Mm-hmm.
I would have seen it as much too dangerous. And I would treat other people's children the same way.
Okay.
I totally agree that it has to be. I think that there is not a way to just. There isn't like a one size fits all solution. I know that like my sister-in-law teaches daycare, but she teaches in another country, and they do not allow Facebook. They do not allow any social media at all to interact with the kids because there's a lot of refugees. So it's like you don't know everybody's situation, and so it's really, I think you can't be too careful with this.
Right.
But on the other hand, if you're going to air anywhere, I mean, maybe the backs of people's heads at least. I've actually seen some good pictures where you can still see people in the photos, because a lot of meetings will go to the other extreme then, where they will have just like empty benches, and that is. Those are their pictures, and it's like, well, I mean, maybe you could get people far away from the back, or like hands or feet, or like
shoulders down or something.
Yes.
Yeah. So definitely, I think there are creative ways to still without having identifying pieces of people all the time. You could maybe still consider other ways to show humans.
You made a point about just making a distinction between public scenes and I guess private, but I ran across this back in the early 90s that I was taking pictures in Washington, D.C. as a tourist, and there was this nanny with a cart full of kids, and I went to take their picture, and they stopped me and said, you know, these are diplomats' kids and stuff, and they don't want them photographed. So even though they were in public, they had the right to stop you.
Well, they asked. Yeah.
They asked, yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely an evolving conversation.
Right. It's a different world. Just before we move on.
So does anyone have the photos on?
I think
does anyone
you faded out. You're fading out a little bit.
one have pictures on the private with the privacy permissions turned on? Over?
Not yet. We haven't even done that.
Not that we know.
Not that we know of. Of children under age 18. That's different from adults.
Yeah, I was considering having a members and attenders picture board in private only. In other words, you'd have to have a password in order to see them at all. What do you think about?
Well, it's that opt-in question. If, just like, you know, signing up for emails, if people opt in to having their picture taken, then you're covered. It's better not to assume, you know, not to leave them to have to opt out. So get upfront permission, I think.
Also, the member directory does have a place that you can do that. So members and attenders could also upload by choice then. And this is what some meetings do, is that they make it an opt-in situation where people have to go actually log in, click that they want to be in the directory, and then upload a picture. So there's a couple deliberate steps before you're sharing your picture only within your meeting.
A little hard to do for older members who are not really too experienced with taking pictures and doing the upload operation. I wonder if any of you have experienced that problem.
I have, and I help them. If they want to do it, I help them.
So
We have a photo board in meeting. We have a photo board in meeting, but it's not clear that people who are part of that photo board would want to have pictures on the internet, even if it is theoretically in a very private, password protected area.
Right, so that's an ask. It's part of trying to understand where people are these days. Because in years past, you're right, I've been in several meetings where, you know, there'd be someone who was led to do that, because it's a lot of work, and would take photos and print them out and put them on the board and whatever, and there didn't seem to be a big issue. But of course, the board never traveled beyond the meeting house. So I wouldn't assume that everybody, I'm not even sure how I'd feel about that these days, because the meeting house gets rented and stuff, but that's a different issue. And we're not using the member directory online. It doesn't work for us, so just for the way we handle things.
Ours, a PDF file of our member directory in the private area online.
Yes.
that's what a number of meetings have done to kind of bridge the gap between an interactive one and a printed one that gets handed out.
Yeah.
So Maureen's last question is about the photo gallery. So we do not have one, but this is the second time this month I've heard this question. So what were you kind of looking for in a photo gallery?
So an example is every year we have this very simple wooden tree that we call our mitten tree, right? That's where we gather clothing at Christmas time. And so to have a photo of that we, you know, use for posting on the website and Facebook, doesn't have any people in it, and then it comes down at the end of the season. Right now, things like that are stored, particularly on my computer, because I tend to take some of those pictures. But over time, I'm very aware of you know, where could there be things like that? You know, clip art that maybe gets used, anything that's in a JPEG or a PNG file that could get used year after year, but sort of goes up and comes down again. So it just sort of recently come up for us. And Kim Stoner's idea was there is the photo album function in Facebook. So if there isn't, and I couldn't find one on the website, so that might be a place where we could store them. And I wouldn't care if the whole world, you know, could see our mitten tree. But I didn't know if anyone else had any other, if they've run into that, whether Bonnie maybe's run into that.
Yeah, I'm storing them. I'm storing some of them on my computer, and we have somebody else in meeting who's storing some of them on their computer. But it would be nice if we had a central place to put some of that stuff that we use over and over again.
I've used Dropbox for another nonprofit that I was involved with for a habitat group, and that evolved pretty well over time. As long as you pass along from, you know, board member to board member, that they have access to it. So I guess there's a couple of different ways. Okay.
Well, there are a couple of things
Is,
that do integrate that we
storage.
could look at.
Perhaps one of the things that we could use would be a workspace which was for testing and for storage of things that are seasonal. And that way one could essentially switch them from one heading to another quite easily in that way. Over?
That is totally something that we can do now. What you could do is you could have a sort of like the test space in a committee site, and then and you could just have it, you know, like New Haven Test Committee or whatever. Actually, but not Test Committee, but something like that. Okay. And then you can use that as a repository and work back and forth with that.
Okay.
If anyone would be interested, that's something I could set up and send you information about.
That would be good.
Yeah, that would be good.
Would everybody like one?
One of the things that, one of the things that seems to be necessary in our meeting is a space where people can develop a web page without its being public, and then putting it in a public area. Now, I noticed that you had a heading where of none as a place where things might go, and I wonder if that could be devoted to private testing, that is, testing only for the member who is currently logged on and who has contributor status or higher, so that they could get all the kinks out of their web page before they finally said, okay, I want this to be an event, or I want this to be a resource, or whatever. Over?
Well,
Where's this none? Under what tab?
It's a choice on each of the items that you create, and there's a thing called groups audience, and so usually you select your own meeting name or the committee that you want it to go to, but you can select none. The thing is, what you're saying is something we tried, and it ended up, and I don't see this as happening again, but it ended up not working out as well as we thought it would, and it just started fragmenting one of our meeting websites, and it created a lot of problems that we did not predict in terms of just kind of blowing it apart. And so what I would do for that instead is create create a test meeting site and use that same use that same kind of staging that committee site to try out some of these things and then move them over. But the moving them over is not as clear cut. You almost have to rebuild them once you kind of know what you want it to look like. Otherwise, at this time, it does weird stuff on the site.
Okay,
so, but how about this? Like on our like FGC Quaker site, we have the ability to create things as unpublished. Is that kind of what you're looking for? Is having unpublished stuff?
Yeah.
What does it actually
That's what
mean?
they're looking. That's what they're looking for. Unpublished.
So yeah,
unpublished would be what my people are.
I will make a note about that. And this is something that's above my pay grade setting up online. But if we have the ability to do that, it will. I'll have to see if we have the ability to do that. Because we do for certain profiles, like for FGC staff, but setting up new profiles and permissions sometimes gets a little tricky. So I can see what is involved in doing that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
maybe.
She might have to create.
So that was everything.
A question I have for you.
Yes.
A question that I have for you with respect to our needs and desires is with respect to that subheadings on the About page or About tab. Is that possible or not possible? Did you get my question via email? Over.
I'm not sure I saw your question yet.
Oh, well, I had submitted this earlier, and the idea was that the Cherry Hill meeting has a whole bunch of subheadings under About, and that's basically what the kind of structure that the people in our meeting feel they would really like to have, if that's possible. So if you look at the Cherry Hill,
Chestnut Hill?
or Chestnut Hill, you're right.
So the way they did this is they created.
So if you look there, that's the kind of structure that I'd like, and I can see how you do it with a certain template, but I don't see how you do it just with plain HTML. That is how you get this line with HTML.
Okay.
I think you have to use one of the special template structures in order to get that done.
Yeah, there isn't. So there are two things I can address here. First, I can show you how they do it, which is they. You know what? Let me log into View really quick. Okay. Okay, so if you wanted to do what they're doing, you would just create new posts.
Yeah.
And then you would just keep creating cloud pages, and each of these would appear under About, and then they will go alphabetically or numerically. So then you just.
But they wouldn't be tab structured as the. Is it Cherry Hill?
They actually, yes.
If
you make tabs as you do them, Ed.
Here, check it out. 2 test And I'll
Oh, I see.
save it.
If you number them, they come out that way.
Yeah, I mean, you can also do them, if you're very clever, you can do them in alphabetical order if you can figure out the order that you want them in. But otherwise, if you want them in the order as Chestnut Hill is done, then you could do it with numbers. And then you will get the tab
Okay, well,
structure.
I will try that. So if I use numbers, I get I get a tab structure automatically?
You get a
I guess
tab
I haven't
structure.
created enough posts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll get a tab structure only under About, and it will happen automatically. And then the way you control the tabs, the order is with the numbers.
Okay. And then I can create a page under worship, or is it just the single page worship?
Single page.
Or if I have multiple pages that I want to stick under worship, does that happen, or would those go as something else?
Okay, if you really want to start doing
you see what I mean?
hierarchy, yeah, what I would do is this the auxiliary repository committee site that I'm setting up. You could create pieces of content on that page, make them public, and then within worship you could talk about I don't know if there's something about like a special something like Philadelphia yearly meeting or Philadelphia quarter. Oh, Philadelphia quarter, I guess, does extended worship like at different places like once a month. So you could like have like a link in here somewhere about like what that is. You could click on it, and then it would jump to a page that you had somewhere, and then you would have more of a hierarchy structure.
Okay. Or use the related. Okay. All right. Well, I guess that'll do for the time being. I didn't realize that that they would appear at the top as you've indicated. I thought that they would still appear one after the other, and you would sort of have to scan through all the items in order to find the headings.
Yep.
Okay, so I think you may have answered my question. I'll just have to try it and see.
Start playing with it and check back in with me if the structure isn't quite happening like you hope it would or something, and then we can play with it a little bit more and see if we can figure out something within the template.
And Ed?
Okay, I could see how...
Ed, it's easier to make that happen
Yes, go ahead.
If you put numbers in front of them instead of trying to be very creative with the alphabet. I tried to be very creative with the alphabet and got frustrated.
I'll try it with the numbers. I like that idea. I think that would work out pretty well in terms of the things that we need to put on the About page. In other words, we may not need to have a whole bunch of About subheadings, which are tabbed structures themselves, that have multiple pages that are associated underneath them.
And I would encourage you not to get very many levels of tabs. When websites started out that way, that's the way people did it. And nowadays it's that cross-reference within the website. The way I solved the issue about uploads for events, I create a page on resources with there I can upload a flyer, but then I just cross-link to it, right? So people don't have to work very hard.
Yes.
So think about that, yeah.
Yeah, you have the related item. Yeah.
Can we just take a look at that really quick? Because that's super awesome. Oops, sorry. I didn't think.
So if you go to our events page, and go to events, and now scroll down to the Connecticut Valley Quarter, and click on that. Okay, that has So the meeting agenda and reading material are posted here. If you click on here, it actually goes to a resource page, right?
Mhm.
With those two PDFs that I could upload.
Oh, can I show you something then that you could do also with this?
Sure.
Okay. Let me see. Let me log back in.
So now you're in here as me, right?
Yeah. I used to not tell anyone we could do this because I thought
Are
it
you
would freak them out.
gonna
But now it's like, and I was like, you guys should be happy we can do this. And
I'm happy.
Okay, so you have Connecticut, the Connecticut Valley, and then you have it linked to agenda and reading materials.
Yeah.
And I can do. I'm going to try something on your site, and then you can undo it. But
Are we
let me show you what this would look like. Yeah, agenda and.
Yeah, the related content, that's really good. That really makes things.
Oh, I haven't learned how to use that yet.
You are about to. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, this one is really worthwhile learning about.
It's still going to that resource page, but it puts it right there, highlights it. Oh, that's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
And then you have more of that lateral thing.
That is really neat.
So you already have to have that created. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to just leave it because I'm getting a lot of good feedback here. I'm going to leave it like that.
Created to resource page. Okay, got it.
And there's also instructions on how to do that on the Quaker Cloud Admin site in the video manual in case you want to do that more and everyone's like, wait, what did we do? So it's all there. Oh, and this whole thing is being recorded. I will give anyone a chance to let me know if that's not okay before I post it. But then you can also rewind it and see what happened here. Or not, in case if anyone objects, and I won't ask for objections.
That's what that related content is. Okay.
So yeah, but I do want to address one other thing that Ed, you were asking about HTML, and basically we don't let you get that fancy with HTML. So you're going to run into there's a lot of HTML you can do, but certain things like iframes and basically stuff. There's just stuff that we don't let you do. If you do want to do it anyway, let me know. Send me your code, and we can talk about whether it's something that we can put up or not. But honestly, anything past embedding like Google calendars and stuff is above my pay grade, and I might be like, this is going to take me a couple of days to figure out if it's okay or not. So.
Okay, well, I think that with the fixing up of the about thing, that's going to work out pretty well. One of the questions that I have is, if you have something that is a public discussion, is everybody allowed to post to that public discussion, or do you have to be member of the group status in order to do it?
You can be a member of any Quaker Cloud meeting, and all meetings all people so far on the cloud have been vetted by humans, but as members of the community in some way. But public can view it, but the general public will not be able to comment.
Okay. That makes sense, because we really want to require authorization, and that way each person must be responsible for the material that they post. But would they have to be contributors, or could they do it just as members?
They could do it just as members of any site.
Okay.
So we are about 15 minutes. We have about 15 minutes left. I did want to have a discussion a little bit about user adoption. It's something that most meetings seem to have a challenge with. So if your meeting is having a challenge with user adoption, or if you have figured out a way to get people to use your website better, now would be the time to share those things because it's helpful to people.
I think for us, it's going to be a problem of getting people who will be willing to be contributors and who will actually continue to keep up the material on a timely basis. I have a sense that's where we're going to have the most difficulty. We're also going to have difficulty with some of our older members trying to get them to use the Quaker Cloud effectively.
Aaron, at one time, I guess Steve Winfield asked you for some Google, what do you call it, statistics. I'm not saying the right word, but
analytics.
Google Analytics on how our cloud page was being used. And how do we get that again to see?
I can just mail it to you. It's actually, New Haven was like the first meeting I did, so like New Haven is like my template that I use for everybody. So I can actually send it to you right now. Yeah, like seriously, New Haven.
For a while, it looked like we were the most used meeting, but that was because someone was or Kim was using our homepage as her screensaver, I think, or her homepage or something. So every time she opened her computer, it was a hit.
That's a new one.
I would say that what I'm starting to press on is the fact that things that people want access to are being stored on the website. So even if it's just forms that gets used over and over again, so I keep saying that, oh, we could store that on the website, and so when your committee turns over, you know where it is. That's kind of a slog, but and it's, as Bonnie was saying, it's the hand-holding too. Each person almost, you have to sit down and get them registered. Once they find a reason they need the website because they're on a committee or something, but it's a onesie kind of effort.
We had a fun day at our meeting, and I spent the morning hand-holding people through how to use the website. One at a time. I got this, oh, I didn't know you could do that. So, yeah, it's hand-holding.
Okay, I'm making notes so that I can start sharing more of this also. So, do you remember, like, which Sunday that was? Because that's something that we could actually also, or I could send it to you. I could send you the analytics for, like, the week before and the week after, so you could kind of see, like, after they left, how that worked and stuff. And I mean, you don't have to tell me now. I can, like, send it to you at some point. But
yeah, it was the first or second Sunday in March.
Okay, I'll send you. Am I already sending you Google Analytics?
No.
Okay. I could start sending them to you, and I could send you also. I could go back as far as March, and then you could take a look at. Because I mean, I'm probably going to look after this anyway, because that sounds really interesting to see if that works. Hopefully, it does.
Yeah, and I'm putting stuff up and telling people to go look at the website, especially after I hold their hand for a while.
I think that sounds great, though. That's like the carrot and the stick. Like, yeah.
It could make your life easier.
Aaron, if I can, I'd like to just talk about something that I mentioned last time, and you recognized what was happening. So sometimes when I log in to our website now, newhavenfriends.org, I get this, your connection is not private message. Attackers might be trying to steal your information. You said it was something because, we had changed our domain and there's something about the certificate that expired, and I don't know what all that means, but is there a cure for that? On my desktop, because we've been there, if you just go to the advanced, you can just click go ahead, and it accepts it.
Okay, what I would recommend doing then, if that is a concern, which I think, okay, you could either stick with like what you're doing is like stealth forwarding, where I'm guessing every site you bounce to says newhavenquakers.org. And so what you could do is you could switch it to not stealth. Sometimes it's called masked also. And I'm sorry, what is your custom URL?
newhavenfriends.org.
Oh.
Right? New Haven.
I'm not paying attention.
Well, what's our website?
Our website is at Quaker Cloud. Okay, there she's got it.
Right.
There we go.
Okay, yeah.
If you click on Advanced, though, in the lower left-hand corner, it tells you it couldn't prove that the Quaker Cloud security certificate is from fgcquaker.org.
Okay. Who's hosting your URL? Do you know?
Who's hosting it? GoDaddy. Is that what you want?
GoDaddy.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder who else this is happening to other people on GoDaddy sites. You know what? Let me just
Yeah, if you
looks
go
like
ahead
a
and
Tuesday problem.
it's fine.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make myself a support ticket. New Haven, custom URL being weird.
We will have that problem also because we use GoDaddy as well.
Well, we changed ours. So that's when it started appearing.
Yeah.
Okay, and what is Hanover's? I'm sorry, I'm not looking at who's talking.
Hanover Friends has not put in the alias yet, but we're intending to, so we will have this same problem probably. It's what is it? Hanover Quaker. Ours is hanoverquakers.us.
Okay, what I would do if you haven't moved it over yet, and you can also, off the top of my head, GoDaddy just like isn't my favorite company to work with for two reasons. One is that I don't like their advertising, and that's a subjective thing. But the other thing is subjective, but kind of is not. I've noticed other websites are a little bit easier to work with on their back end. We recommend Hover to a lot of people. I use oneandone.com. It was recommended to me, but I think Hover is a really great one also. So, see, that would be one thing.
Well, we just use it for our. We will just be using this for our domain name, and so presumably we'll have an alias, and we may run, because of the fact that yours is HTTPS, we may have a collision problem where the name is not recognized appropriately.
So what I'm guessing, wait, I want to go. So maybe, no, oh man. Okay, what I was hoping is that the problem was that it was like a stealth forwarding thing, and that, because like now you're on our secure site. So I will look into that tomorrow. That is definitely a Tuesday problem that I will work on with my supervisor, because that is, yeah, it's not obvious to me why it's doing that.
Well, what it may be is that one may have to have a certificate for the alias that one has around, so that certificate is recognized for the name of the website that you're starting from, and then when you go to the new one, that can be allowed for. I suspect it's going from HTTP to forwarding to an HTTPS site.
Yes, and there's a couple. There's
But
one
that's
way
really
around
a suspicion.
Yeah, there's one way around it that requires a little bit more work, sort of beyond what is scalable, I guess, where you where we give a little bit more access to our server, and it's just not exactly scalable for us to do for like 120 meetings. But I've seen other sites that don't run into this that use custom URLs, and I'm not exactly sure what the difference is. So I think there may be a third option without having to start. So it's tricky though, because there is another.
It may be in the way that. It may be in the way that things are forwarded. That is to say, when you create your alias, there may be a special way of getting around the problem that the certificate name that you're going to doesn't happen to match the name that you came from.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, and I'm hoping I can figure out that route tomorrow so that you don't get that scary warning. So I'll have to get back to you on that. But yeah, my supervisor might be able to just look at this and be like, oh yeah, here's the problem, this is how we fix it. So that,
okay, thanks. That'd be great. Because it's off-putting. I mean, it's not a fatal error. You can just go through the, proceed and you get where you want to go. But if you've never seen it before, you think that you're going to get attacked or something.
Yeah, and we're definitely trying to train people to watch for things like security certificates and stuff. So we want to encourage people being like, oh, okay, I'm aware of security certificates. So I'll get back to you. That's not what we want to happen.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
So it's about 8. Unless anyone has any last-minute questions, I think we will wrap this up. And we're doing this monthly. So. And also, I will post these. I will wait till tomorrow morning to post this recording, so you have a good 12 hours. If you're like, you know what, I do not want this available to the public, then I will not make it available to the public. But I will let you email me to let me know if that is the case. So, other than that, I will post it on our website, on the Quaker Cloud Admin website, and then everyone can access this and. That's it. Okay.
Thank you, Erin. This has been helpful.
Thank you, Erin.
I have one question.
Awesome. Oh, yeah. One quick question. What's up?
Yeah, I have one question for you about our site, which is, do you have a notion of when we need to get the form? Do you have a notion of when we need to get the forms into you for our membership?
No rush. No rush. Whenever you want to get them in. But yeah, we there's definitely not a rush. I think at this point we're still updating how we're working with people, and I think after executive committee, we'll be able to expedite a lot of this. So, and that's a couple weeks away. So definitely no rush.
Fast as I can, and then you can do it when you get a chance.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right. Well, good night, everybody. Email me if you have any questions.
Okay. Good night, Erin.
Good night.